Tonight, the infamous Snowtown killer's plea to one day spend time with his son and meet the newest apprentices in training set to work at the Whyalla Steelworks.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Casey Treelaw begins now.
Good evening. Notorious Snowtown serial killer Robert Joe Wagner says he wants a non-parole period on his 10 life sentences to assist his mental well-being. His application letter stating he hopes to one day spend time with his son. Dominic Beaton has more.
It's been 20 years since police discovered the remains of 8 bodies inside 6 acid-filled barrels at the former Snowtown Bank. And now a perpetrator in one of the state's most horrific murder cases has applied for a non-parole date. In 2003, Robert Joe Wagner was charged with 10 life sentences for his involvement in the Snowtown murders. He has submitted a handwritten letter to the South Australian Supreme Court. He has written, "I am a father of a 21-year-old son. I have been in custody since he was 18 months old." Mr. Wagner goes on to say that having a parole date would be beneficial for his well-being, further saying, even if the non-parole period was lengthy, just having a date would be beneficial for me. Family members of the deceased have expressed grief over the letter and are shocked over its content. The Premier has dismissed the claim that Wagner could be released in the near future.
A cyclist has been taken to the Port Pirie Hospital this morning after being hit by a car. The elderly man sustained injuries to his leg after the blue sedan collided with his bike on the corner of Wandera and Balmoral Road at 9 a.m. The intersection is known as a notorious location for roadside accidents. The incident is being investigated by local police. A house fire in Port Augusta started by a child playing with matches has sparked the Metropolitan Fire Service to issue an urgent warning to parents. Fireys were forced to put out a blaze at Surrey Street on Tuesday afternoon, causing $40,000 worth of damage. The MFS reminding parents to keep matches and lighters out of reach and sight of children. Also to educate them about the importance of fire safety in the home and to make sure all rooms have active smoke alarms. The latest group of apprentices have taken to the tools for training to one day work at GFG's Whyalla Steelworks. The company says the intake helps maintain the link between the steelworks and the local community.
An apprenticeship at the Steelworks has historically been a gateway to employment post-school. The recent administration saga had seen the pipeline dry up due to uncertain conditions. However, new owners GFG are once again opening their doors.
About a quarter of our trade population will be over 55 in the next few years, so we've got to create those talent pipelines again in our critical area of trade.
20 have been recruited this year. They've spent the last 4 weeks at TAFE learning the basics before heading on site. They'll rotate across all areas of the plant, which will give them flexibility to work across the business.
We need them to be as agile and as familiar with as much of the plant as possible to be able to switch them around as to where we need them.
Kirsty Lane secured one after completing a multi-trades course. Keen to do something with her hands, she's encouraging females to consider a career at the Steelworks.
I'm loving it. I think we can do it as well as the guys, so give it a go.
Brothers Richard and Christopher Warren were successful at the same time, and they're already letting each other know who's boss.
He always asks me for a bit of help every now and then, so...
Is that true?
No, I'm the younger brother, mate, but I'm the smarter one.
John Hunt, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Broken Hill Police are gearing up for another big weekend on patrol in the Silver City. From Friday night through to Sunday, officers will be out in full force. They'll be particularly busy on the Saturday with the 54th annual St Pat's Race Day. Thousands are expected to flock to the track. Local police hoping everyone behaves at the event and on our roads.
The odds on St Patrick's races weekend may be quite good, but your odds of getting caught by the police for random drug testing or random breath testing are really astronomical.
Officers say if you're asked to leave the races or a licensed premises and don't comply, you could face a $550 fine. Opposition leader Peter Malinauskas has stopped to talk with locals in Port Augusta today as part of the Labor Listens tour. It's one of the first times the new leader has visited the town since Labor lost the election last year. He says it's important to hear the issues facing regional communities.
I've got to make sure that what we pick up on this Labor listening exercise is reflected in real policy, and that's what we'll be working on over the next few years.
The tour of the Spencer Gulf will continue tomorrow in Port Pirie. With less than 10 days until New South Wales heads to the polls, the seat of Barwon is shaping up to be a tight race. The Nationals are hoping to retain the seat, but they're receiving tough opposition from the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers candidate.
He may be a front runner, but Roy Butler isn't taking anything for granted.
I need every bit of support I can get. I need every vote that I can get.
Mr Butler is the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party candidate for the Barwon electorate. He's no stranger to this part of the state, having worked across it for 17 years. Over the course of his campaign, he's heard from dozens of Far West communities, and he wants to make sure those living in the regions are not forgotten.
Health is a huge issue. Between 1996 and 2016, our life expectancy has decreased by about 1.5 years on average, whereas in Sydney, they've actually increased their life expectancy by 6.9 years.
In addition to health, Mr Butler says water is a vital concern for locals. The feedback he's received has gone into a 10-point plan for the Murray-Darling Basin water management.
Consistent metering. At decision making, we want every valley to have a group of local decision makers made up of irrigators, business people, recreators and Aboriginal Australians, and we want to get a better understanding of the value we're getting out of environmental water.
The New South Wales state election is on March 23 and pre-polling has opened. The polls have Mr Butler and the Nationals' Andrew Scheer as the favourites. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, Port Lincoln is the newest location for the Coles Quiet Hour and a welcome boost to promote live music in our region's venues. Hello again. Port Lincoln is the newest location for the Coles Quiet Hour as the supermarket rolls out its low sensory shopping experience nationwide. Locals say the program provides a more inclusive environment for all shoppers.
Dimmed lighting, minimal sound and reduced distractions is the new environment introduced at Coles. The shopping chain rolling out Quiet Hour, a program aimed at creating a calmer space for all customers.
We've got to cater for a lot of different people, a lot of different needs.
In September last year, the program was established in 176 Coles stores around the nation. Now Port Lincoln is the latest to join the trend.
Every Tuesday between 10:30 and 11:30, we turn our lighting down, we turn our PA off, no more music.
The supermarket says it provides an autism-friendly, low-sensory shopping experience, receiving massive support online.
It's all been very positive, what I've seen and what I've read, so hopefully more people will sort of embrace it and come in and find it will be good for them.
Autism Australia says basic activities like going to the shops can be difficult for those with autism.
Lights seem brighter, noises sound louder to the point of being almost painful, and it can become quite overwhelming. This means sometimes that people just shut down.
So far, the program's proven a success within the community, with locals wanting the Quiet Hour to be scheduled more frequently. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Augusta's Pickawea Health Service will soon have a men's shed program after it was successful in obtaining a federal grant to kickstart the project. The facility is set to help enhance health outcomes for local Indigenous males.
It doesn't seem like much now, but this empty space of land will soon be the site of a new Indigenous men's shed.
It's something that we've been looking forward to having for a long time.
Pickawea will now go ahead with plans for the $289,000 facility, after this week finding out the federal government would fund 50% of the project.
It's about engagement. It's about getting blokes into a space where they feel comfortable.
The health service currently has programs in Port Augusta for women and children, but an environment for Indigenous men to connect is the missing link.
We'll help them to access health services and to talk about their issues.
The men's shed will use traditional practices like yarning circles and wood carving, and health workers anticipate it will also play a key role in reducing the number of Indigenous suicides in males, currently at an alarming rate of nearly 40 per 100,000 people.
There's no places for men to go to talk about their mental health.
A men's group will be formed in the coming months and will lead the direction in how they want the facility to operate. Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The Colourtumby Street Art Festival has finally released its lineup for this year, with some new faces joining the list. American artist Elle will be coming to town, creating one of her unique and alluring portraits along the street walls. Cummins artist James Pedler is back again, this year teaming up with newbie and local chef Josh Harris.
James and I have thrown a few ideas around and sort of met a couple of times to try and put our heads together and see what each of our styles can bring to the party.
With more artists yet to be announced, it's looking like it'll be another colourful festival. Painting will get underway from April 12 to 14. In a win for live music, the state government has announced the creation of a regional accelerator music program. Launched in Port Pirie, the funding will help bring more live music to our state's country venues.
More live music to take centre stage across our region. The state government is ramping up access to live talent with the announcement of a new regional accelerator music program.
This is $100,000 that we're spending to encourage and support live music in regional South Australia.
The new program will provide practical and financial support, a big win for regional musicians.
For more people to be employed, to be able to bring bigger events to our more remote areas.
Opportunity and lifestyle are key factors of where people choose to live, and we want people to choose to live in regional South Australia.
The prospect of bringing more live music to local venues and having an increase in regional music festivals is an exciting one, after finding it increasingly difficult to gain opportunities at a local level.
I know what it's like to grow up in an area that doesn't have as much opportunity, and that sort of happened for me as I got a bit older.
With Adelaide now listed as a UNESCO Music City of the World, it's hoped drawing more attention to our regions will be beneficial for music lovers across the state. Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Two of Whyallah's top netballers set to shine on centre court, and we'll have the weather details with Britt. Welcome back. Two Whyallah netballers will play for Country SA at the Premier League Pre-Season Cup this weekend. Taylor Breen and Chloe Holmes say they're excited to play against some of the state's most elite players.
Two of Whyallah's best are ready to take on Adelaide's best. Centre Chloe Holmes and goal defender Taylor Breen's performances at last year's country championships didn't go unnoticed. They and 8 others will represent Regional SA this weekend.
They pick out of all the teams that go the top 10 to then go to this carnival and play against all the Metro Adelaide teams.
SA Country will compete in the SA Premier League Pre-Season Cup in a shortened format played over 2 12-minute halves. They'll compete against the 8 club sides along with Southern Force. The Metro sides are littered with players who've competed at the highest level, something Taylor is looking forward to.
Chloe and I know a few of them from back in her regional days. Some of them have been to the Thunderbirds and stuff, so getting to go see them again will be pretty cool.
Both ladies know success. Together they've won multiple premierships with Warriors who've supported them financially to make the trip. Ms Breen, who is also a multiple Whyallah News medal winner, says she's glad her successful partnership with her teammate will continue this weekend.
So much easier. I would be scared without it. It's good to have someone that you know on the court.
John Hunt, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Time now to hear from our local tipsters on what's biting around the Spencer Gulf.
I tell you what, we're coming to that crossover season and I just love it at the moment. So we've got probably another 4 weeks before we see our squid, but they'll probably turn up a little bit earlier. So get yourself prepared for that. At this particular moment, we're seeing some garfish at Port Broughton are dabbing at night time. There's still some yellowfin whiting in that particular area. They've gone a little quiet around here over the last few weeks. They've been big numbers, but you can still get yourself a feed around the First and Second Creek Bank.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel North. Well, we're right in the transition at the moment. Those mornings are getting really nice and a bit of Christmas in them. There's still a lot of crabs around, so it'd be a good idea to start getting those out. The squid shouldn't be too far away. Usually around Easter time they'll start rocking up. Lots of salmon around, and they're catching some big flathead up in Port Patterson as well. There's some large kingfish swimming around, only a small school, about 10 to 15 fish, but they are popping up all over the place. They're actually sighted down the front of the shacks as well. That's all we have for the Jewel North.
There's plenty of crabs again right throughout Whyalla, both north and south, guys. Now is the time to pounce all over those. Just about every single boat hitting their bag limits within the hour or two. And some nice size silver whiting out around the Cowlitz landing grounds. A few coming in from the foreshore, and also some nice really big size garfish coming from the local beaches around Whyalla. A little bit further around North Whyalla there has been some nice garfish out on the boats as well, and snapper have been a little bit quiet this week.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. Well, locally in the bay here in Port Lincoln, there's been some nice garfish. Squid have been a little bit quiet over the past week, but the blue crabs are still going pretty well. Offshore from Port Lincoln, there's been some tuna around Low Rocks and also a few yellowtail kingfish. Moving over to Coffin Bay, there's been some nice garfish and some silver trevally through the bay system. Up the coast at Port Neal and also at Tumby Bay, there's been some yellowfin whiting on the local beaches up there. That's it for Fishing Tips this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
And time to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Britt.
Thanks, Casey. It's been a bright and sunny day today. Port Augusta with a top of 32 degrees, Whyalla 27, Port Lincoln 24, Broken Hill and Port Pirie both 29, Adelaide 26. A high pressure system keeping skies clear over the region today. A weakening cold front will move over the South Australian coast later this evening, with another high developing south of the Bight early Friday morning. Looking at the Gulf waters, southeasterly winds tending southerly at up to 20 knots with seas at 1 metre. Sunrise is due at 7:17 in the morning with sunset at 20 to 8. And we'll have more sun over the region tomorrow. Port Augusta looking at a top of 33 degrees, Whyalla 29, Port Lincoln partly cloudy and 25, Coffin Bay 24, Woodner and Corn both 32 degrees, a top of 30 for Broken Hill, Port Pirie 31, Clare 28, Cleve 25, Kadina 30. Moving ahead to the 4-day forecast now, Port Lincoln looking sunny on Saturday, partly cloudy Sunday and Monday. Cleve warm and sunny with maximums sticking in the early 30s. Woodner 36 degrees on Saturday, 37 Sunday and Monday. Consistently warm and sunny days ahead for Whyalla, 33 degrees across the weekend. Port Augusta back up to 36 on Saturday, 37 Sunday and Monday. Kadina with maximums in the mid-30s. Port Pirie also sticking in the mid-30s through the weekend and into next week. Clare sunny across the weekend with some light cloud cover on Monday. Broken Hill with a top of 33 degrees from Saturday through till Monday. And Casey, that's all for this evening's weather forecast. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Britt. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.